BYU basketball beat North Carolina 78-76 on Friday night. And the thing I took away from BYU basketball as they now get ready, they'll face off against Villanova a week from tonight, speaking of Monday, November 3rd, down there in Las Vegas. The biggest thing I took away from Friday night is I'm still kind of wondering what the identity of this BYU basketball team is going to be. Now, does it need to be clearly defined at this point? No, it does not. And in fact, I'd be kind of worried if it did. Because the simple fact of the matter is we learned about the identity of this BYU basketball team last year, kind of halfway through the season when Big 12 play started really, really rough. And all of a sudden, BYU figured some things out, started playing more as a cohesive unit, and really generated a really nice offense based on the threes and at the rim. Now, it's always going to be the hallmark of Kevin Young's team is either you're at the rim scoring or you're shooting threes. But what I noticed on Friday night, and those of you who were there or watching this probably saw it as well, is that AJ Dybantsa and Robert Wright III in particular, they like to have the ball in their hands a lot, and they like to dribble a lot. And there is one person who was sitting next to me on Media Row at that game that we're talking decades of basketball knowledge. And I asked them, hey, what's the takeaway that you're watching with this? They said, those two guys, they're going to have to figure out how to play within the framework of this team and keep their teammates involved, all the while keeping their touches as they feel that they need to get them up there. That may sound convoluted, but what it essentially meant to me is that they were saying, hey, BYU needs to learn how to play with the pass a little more than going ISO with Robert Wright III or AJ Dybantsa. In individual circumstances, when you're down a bucket and you need somebody just to generate something late in the shot clock, oh yeah, those are the two guys that toss the ball to and say, hey, go manufacture some offense. But earlier on in the shot clock, we need to see more fluidity, more, playing with the pass from this BYU basketball team than what we saw against North Carolina. Now, they did enough to win the basketball game. I can't argue with what they showed in that. And AJ Dybantsa and Robert Wright III showed some really nice things. But Kevin Young said it himself. He said in the post-game press conference, and he said it himself, that Robert Wright III is still trying to kind of get his bearings about him. So that indicates to me that Rob's just kind of playing on instinct right now. And as he continues to kind of get more and more ingrained in practice, going through workouts with the team and the like, because he's been out due to some injury concerns, so long as that comes along, BYU is going to be just fine. The other thing I was interested to hear from Kevin Young is that he's going to play these games with guys on the court for longer stretches than they have in previous iterations of his BYU basketball tenure. Now, it's only one season, but remember, last year, it kind of like wholesale changes. Like the first unit would go in, second unit comes out, and then we kind of vice versa. He is actually planning, as he said on Friday night, to send guys out on the court like Rob Wright, like AJ Dybantsa, Richie Saunders, etc., and play the 2 or 3 of those guys for maybe a 5, 6, 7 minute, even 8-minute stretch to let them just kind of run things and get a longer run there. I'm interested to see how that goes because it's kind of platooning, as he said, to keep guys fresh and on the court. He also pointed to the fact that BYU needs to get Dawson Baker back because he believes that Dawson is very capable of being the secondary ball handler to any of those 3 and help take pressure off of them. The hope is that Dawson Baker is available soon. We'll see what happens. He's been dealing with some injury concerns all summer long, as Kevin Young pointed out. But I do think that the way things are trending for this BYU basketball team are positive, all things considered. I don't want to come on here and it's all doom and gloom. It's far from that. It's just that I'm interested to see how this morphs. If it is going to be maybe more ISO ball than we saw a year ago from this BYU basketball team, that's going to be the hallmark of this team, or if we will see it morph to where, it's more of a team-centric approach, but late in games when you need those buckets. You talk about certified bucket getters is a term I have absolutely loved about NBA basketball teams. Well, what it means is there are guys out there who are capable of generating their own looks offensively, and that's what AJ Dybantsa, that's what Rob Wright III, that's what they're there for BYU late in games. There are going to be possessions that, yes, you have 10 seconds to go on the clock. AJ's got the ball in his hands, and essentially it's like, go create something. That ability is going to help BYU out, especially late in games as the Big 12 season wears on, that you find yourself just needing to manufacture some offense, and you need to have maybe one guy take over. That's what AJ's there for. That's what Rob Wright is there for. Richie Saunders, I think he's got some of that in him, but Richie is more of a guy who's going to generate his offensive looks off playing with the pass, off being kind of in the corner when those guys go to the rim and dish it out to him for a three. I also want to see his shooting come along because he's been fairly ice cold. Now, neither team, I'm telling you, I think we saw a combined 9 threes made among North Carolina and BYU on like 30 plus attempts. It was brutal shooting wise from beyond the arc at the Delta Center on Friday night. But Richie was cold against Nebraska and was not great against North Carolina. And you want to see that come along as well. And rewatching it, it's not he's not having a tough time getting shots. He's actually getting really, really good looks, it feels like, for the most part. He just got to dial it in and start knocking them down. And hopefully this week, as they kind of morph into game prep mode, because it's on, because a week from tonight, it's in Las Vegas and the Cougars are going to go at it against Villanova. It's going to be interesting to see how BYU manages this non-conference slate, because it's tough. There's a lot of really good teams on there. And yes, you have to understand that they're probably going to absorb some losses in this non-conference slate. But Kevin Young, he said it last year at the end of the non-conference slate and early on in Big 12 play that he felt like the preseason, the non-conference slate BYU played a season ago, did them no favors in being prepared for Big 12 play. And that's why they started, was it 1-3 and like 2-4 in Big 12 play? Absolutely horrendous start. Now, they made up for it down the stretch, but he wants to hit the ground running when it comes to Big 12 play come early January. And that's why they're playing UConn. That's why they're playing Villanova down there in Las Vegas. That's why they're going to play Clemson in New York City, among other games. You guys know what I'm talking about. The non-conference slate, it is stout. It's got a lot of high-profile matchups. And more importantly, they're going to test this BYU team and I think force them to learn a lot about themselves in very quick succession. I'm interested to see where it kind of goes as this non-conference schedule goes along. And then once Big 12 play arrives, man, it's on. Because watching some of the other storylines about the Big 12 and talking with my buddies over at Locked On College Basketball, guys like Isaac Shade, etc., it's going to be very interesting to see what the Big 12 ends up being, because we got Darren Peterson over at Kansas. He was absolutely cooking the other night in their exhibition game. I got guys like Koa Pete down there at Arizona. There's some really, really good young talent in this Big 12 conference, but it's also a conference that's laden with a lot of veteran players. I'm talking about the likes of Richie Saunders. Kind of that influx of young talent against kind of the vets who have been proven options. The nice part is, you don't have to worry about either way when it comes to BYU. They've got a nice blend of that young talent. AJ Dybantsa is about as good as anybody can ever hope he's going to be. And he showed that again Friday night because he had multiple instances. He got blocked at one point by Caleb Wilson, who, by the way, is a fantastic player in his own right. And what does he respond the next two possessions individually himself? He swats two North Carolina players, including Wilson himself, I think. I love AJ. He loves playing the game of basketball, and he plays both ends of the court. This is not just a pure scoring guy. He can take over and play as good as anybody offensively, but he also gets it done on the defensive end of the court, and I love that about him. So that's kind of a microcosm, as the young talent for BYU is there, but also you got established veterans, Keba Keita, Rob Wright, even though he's a sophomore, obviously Richie Saunders being a super senior that he is now. That veteran-laden presence on this team, I think it's going to help BYU navigate a lot of the pitfalls this schedule may have for them, because, yeah, some games, AJ is going to be cooking. He's going to go off, and he's absolutely going to own the opponent. There's going to be other games, well, he's going to be the focal point of the opposing defense, and that's when you need to have guys like Rob Wright and Richie Saunders pick up that slack. So I love the roster construction that Kevin Young has provided, and while Friday night has me questioning just a couple of things with regards to identity for BYU, sure looks like this team, they've got everything they need to win and win at a high level all season long. And I, for one, I'm looking forward to seeing how they perform, obviously starting next Monday night down there in Las Vegas.